everyone, welcome to a new video, and today I am going to do a book unhaul for you. That's right, I'm not going to talk to you about books that I actually bought, but about some books that I'm getting rid of. Perhaps you can see on the shelves behind me that it's looking a little bit emptier than in one of my last videos, perhaps. And that's because I went through my bookcases to see what books I would like to get rid of, because I hope to be moving in a couple of months, and now it's summer vacation, so I finally have time to go through my bookcases and to actually do this and decide what I want to get rid of, perhaps sell a few here and there. Most of it is probably going to go to friends and family, so if you see any books in here that you're like, oh, please send them to me, I'm not going to be doing that. In fact, some of these books will already be gone by the time this video goes up. So without further ado, let's get to the books. I have several categories, you could say, that like the types of books I'm going to get rid of, and there are many more books that I'm going to get rid of than what I can show you in this video. But just to give you an idea of why I want to get rid of books and which books I'm then getting rid of, the first category is perhaps the most obvious one. It's books that I've read that I thought were okay, but that I know I will never ever read again, or that I will not, that's a series that I won't continue or anything like that. Case in point is a steampunk book, Bronze Gods, by a writing duo called A.A. Aguirre. I quite enjoyed it when I read it. It wasn't too impressive, I have to say. I thought it was a bit tropey, perhaps. I wasn't too impressed by it, so this is a meh read that I don't see any point of keeping on my shelves. Another category are books that I've attempted to read that I never actually got through and that I no longer have any interest in finishing. This is The Labyrinth by Kate Moss. This is a fantasy novel, I believe. It's like a setting in a medieval time and then in a current day time. This was like really hyped up around the time that all of the Dan Brown books were also really great and like hyped up as well. As you can see, I did get like past the first, 100 pages or so, but then I just lost interest and I actually never went back to this. I think I've had this book for over 6 years and it's just been sitting on my shelf collecting dust, so that's why it has to go. Category number 3 would be books that I've read that I quite enjoyed for what it was, but that I now think, nah, I don't think so. Case in point, the entire 50 Shades series. I actually read this because I actually read the original Twilight fanfic that this is based on. I don't think I'll ever read this again, to be quite honest. This is just something that has to get off my shelves. While the A.A. Aguirre book is more of like a steampunk setting, I also have some adult books that I want to get rid of for the same reason that I'm getting rid of that. I read these, thought they were okay, but wasn't too impressed with them, and some of them might be quite shocking because at least 2 of these were quite popular. I'm getting rid of Matthew Pearl's The Dante Club. I'm also getting rid of his second book, The Poe Shadow. Both books have a certain premise of like people who, like, it's a bit of a detective, but like this one's based around Dante's Inferno, and the other one is based around Edgar Allan Poe's stories. The problem with these books is that the premise sounds much more interesting than the actual book itself, so it's an okay read, but I didn't really feel like picking these up ever again. And then these 2 I think are the main shockers. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn was of course a massive movie, a massive book, I think a year or 2 ago. Everybody was reading this. I was very unimpressed by this book. I thought it was very predictable, and for a whodunit kind of book, already knowing about 50 pages in who did it, wasn't really impressive to me. I enjoyed about 100 pages somewhere in the middle of this book, and the rest I thought, nah. This book is another one that I'm getting rid of because I quite liked it. It's The Rosie Project by Graham Simpson. This is about a man with autism who falls in love for the first time pretty much, and his entire lovely world that he's built for himself is pretty much turned upside down. That's pretty much the premise of this. Which is why everybody loves this. I just thought that it banged too much on autism stereotypes, and really making fun of those as well, which I just thought was a bit of a cheap plot device to be using in a book to try and create some comic relief. And I think that this is just something that's been done before, and it's just, and also much better. So I don't think that this is really deserving of the hype that it's been given. I'm also getting rid of some middle grade books, and I also read both of these, and I just think that middle grade just isn't for me. A lot of people like these stories because they're very whimsical and fantastical, and while I appreciate that about these stories, I just feel I'm definitely not the audience to be reading these books. Here I'm having Chris Colfer's The Land of Stories, The Wishing Spell, which is the first installment, and Chris Colfer was in Glee, if you don't know that. And this is Catherine M. Valente's The Girl Who Circumnavigated Fairyland in a Ship of Her Own Making. Again, both of these books were pretty okay for what they are. It's just that these just aren't for me. I don't think that middle grade is a genre I should really get into. And then I'm also getting rid of some YA. These are mostly YA books that were hyped up a few years ago, that I bought the first book of, or like the first couple ones of, just to see what they were like. Of these, I've only read Fallen, and I just wasn't very impressed with it. The other three are completely unread, because that's another category of books that I'm getting rid of. Books that I once upon a time apparently was interested in because I bought them or got them or somehow got my hands on them, but that at this point in time, I read the blurb and it just doesn't give me the feels. It's not a book that I want to pick up anymore, so those also have to go. Those are the fiction novels that I'm trying to get rid of, but also the another area that I've really been trying to cull my bookshelves is the nonfiction part of it. I have quite a lot of nonfiction, and I find that with nonfiction, your interests differ even more throughout time than with novels, I find. But yeah, I'm getting rid of tons of nonfiction. Case in point, a lot of food books. A couple of years ago, I was really into reading up on food and how it worked. There's still a couple of books that I have that I'm very much still interested in, but these I've all read, and I just wasn't very impressed by these at all, and that's why I'm getting rid of them. So I'm getting rid of Living Low Carb by Johnny Bowden. I'm also getting rid of a Dutch book. This is The Voedselzandloper by Chris Verburg. This was a hype over here a few years ago. I'm also getting rid of the Dutch translation of Wheat Belly, and then Fat Chance About Sugar by Robert Lustig. So those are the books that I hope to be getting rid of. Like I said, I'm giving these away to friends and family or to charity once everybody's like taken their pick and I no longer have anything that's of interest to anyone close to me anymore. Yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe because I make new videos every single Sunday. I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!